In Ecuador, early presidential and legislative elections advance in different polling stations. No major incidents in national territory so far, although some Ecuadorian citizens abroad have reported online difficulties to vote. Guatemalan citizens continue going to polling stations on Sunday to democratically decide who their next president will be, former First Lady Sandra Torres Casanova or academic Bernardo Arevalo de Leon. And in Niger, the military chief of the National Homeland Defense Council, General Abdourahmane Tchiani, warned Ecowas of his country's military response capacity. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We'll begin with the news. In Ecuador, early presidential and legislative elections advance in different polling stations. The National Electoral Council deployed a security team made up of the National Police and the Armed Forces. The entity also signed an agreement with the Association of Ecuadorian Municipalities so that the security of voters and candidates is guaranteed in all municipalities of the country. So far, the process develops without problems, although some situations have been reported with Ecuadorian citizens abroad who have not been able to vote due to some online difficulties. In the framework of the presidential elections and in the midst of a security operation, candidates for the presidency of Ecuador take their participation to the polls, accompanied by political forces. In spite of the fact that Ecuadorians have been in a dilemma since August 9th in terms of insecurity and increasing violence, 8 of the candidates for the presidency are exercising their right to vote. Presidential candidate Christian Zurita, who replaced the assassinated candidate Fernando Villavicencio, is not the exception. In the middle of the voting, he declared to the press that Ecuadorians should take the country forward with security and determination. On the other hand, candidate Otto Sonnenholzner on his social media let citizens know that they were on the way to change. Sonnenholzner was guarded all the time while casting his ballot. At least 13.4 million Ecuadorians must exercise the mandatory vote and are under alert due to insecurity in the country.
Happy for a healthy campaign, for a clean, sincere, honest campaign that is going to give results today, that is going to allow us to change the country, to change things for our people. Yesterday, I had an unfortunate incident. Unfortunately, there are more and more Ecuadorians who live in situations like this. Thank God the police acted and the criminals are in custody.
The candidate of the Citizens' Revolution, led by former President Rafael Correa, Luisa González, exercised her right to vote on Election Day on Sunday. The presidential candidate went to the 4th polling station in the Canuto community in the city of Chone to vote around 8 o'clock in the morning, local time. The presidential candidate arrived at the site amidst a large police and military contingent due to the wave of violence that the country is experiencing, and she was accompanied by her partner Andres Arauz. Luisa González is the only woman among the candidates for the presidency of Ecuador and is leading the polls to succeed the current president Guillermo Lasso. Before casting her vote, González made statements to the press in which she called on the National Electoral Council to correct errors so that migrants abroad could exercise their right to vote. While exercising their right to vote, the Citizens' Revolution campaign partners offered declarations.
Charged and the people will pronounce themselves with forcefulness for peace, for democracy, for the hope of our people, for the resurgence of the homeland.
That is now in the hands of the Ecuadorian people. Most probably it will be a single round.
In Ecuador, elections continue to develop normally with police and military presence at the voting stations to guarantee security after recent events. Citizens in northern Quito mostly went to the polls early in the morning due to recent violent incidents associated with the electoral environment. Our correspondent Estefania Bravo gives us more details.
Hi there again, Estefania Bravo reporting from Quito, and right now I'm in the south of Quito in one of the biggest polling stations in the province of Pichincha. It's called Montúfar. It's a school here in the south of Quito. And as you can see, people are still coming in to vote. We have about 2 hours left before polling stations are closed and before no one else can vote. So people are still coming in. They're coming in to vote. We see less people here than we saw before in the north. Usually what happens is that Ecuadorians go in the morning and vote earlier than later, but people are still coming in. People here in the south, as mentioned, this is the biggest polling station here in the south of, in Pichincha province, the province of Pichincha, where about close to 25,000 people come here to cast their ballots. We have only a couple of hours left before polling stations are closed. The CNE has said that they will start announcing official results at about 7:30 p.m. local time. We're still here. We're wanting to see what else is going to happen. I do see here a couple of policemen, not as many policemen and military presence as I saw before, but nevertheless, everything is going smoothly thus far. People are coming in with their children, with their families, grandparents. So that's what we have for you thus far. We'll bring you more news in a couple of hours.
Guatemala is also experiencing an election day on Sunday, the second round of its electoral process to decide who will be its next president. In this electoral election, citizens are called to choose between the former First Lady, Sandra Torres Casanova, or the academic Bernardo Arevalo de Leon. Arevalo, candidate of the Semilla movement, is currently the favorite to win the runoff election if the polls come true, which predict him as the next president of the Central American country with 60 or 65% of the total votes. Torres Casanova, on the other hand, won the first electoral round on June 20th with almost 900,000 votes, but polls indicate that she will fall short again in her intentions to become president. Guatemalans go to the polls in an atmosphere of maximum tension as Guatemala's public ministry, whose leadership is sanctioned by U.S. authorities for corruption, has become the main protagonist of the elections. And Guatemalan presidential candidates vote in the second round of the Central American nations general elections. The presidential candidate for the Semilla movement, Bernardo Arevalo, arrived to vote at the La Patria school, located in a part of the capital. The presidential hopeful called on Guatemalans to go to the polls with joy, tranquility, and peace. The candidate of the National Unity of Hope Party, Sandra Torres, also cast her vote in the capital city. The country's president promised to hand over power on January 14, 2024 to the winner of this second round. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In Russia, the anti-aircraft defense managed to neutralize a new Ukrainian kamikaze drone attack on a military unit near the settlement of Novochakstin. The territory's governor, Vasily Golubev, reported that the radio-electronic warfare systems were effectively and managed to shoot down the 3 unmanned aerial vehicles launched from Ukrainian-controlled territory. He also noted that 2 of the drones were shot down in a military unit in the city of Kamensk, and the third was found about a kilometer from the town of Novochakstin. The official added that the incident caused no structural damage and no casualties or injuries were reported. The U.S. Navy has sent warships to support the safe evacuation of ships in San Diego Bay due to Hurricane Hilary. In a statement, U.S. Third Fleet's commander, Vice Admiral Michael Boyle, informed that the mission is to guarantee the safety of the sailors and ships in the bay. He said that all necessary measures have been taken to avoid serious damage to the infrastructure and the ships of the Third Fleet. The commander explained that 1 aircraft carrier and 2 ships are already out of the bay. Hurricane Hilary brought heavy rains on Saturday to parts of Mexico's Baja California Peninsula and the southwestern United States. Officials warned that the powerful hurricane could cause catastrophic and potentially deadly flooding. The storm weakened on Saturday and dropped from Category 4 to Category 2 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, but was still capable of causing major damage. Hurricane conditions are expected to continue along the Baja California coast on Sunday. The storm is expected to weaken to a tropical storm before reaching southern California and southern Nevada, with heavy rain and flooding still possible. In the Spanish island of Tenerife, images of firefighters and police officers helping with nighttime evacuations are emerging as firefighters made progress in their battle against a vast blaze. The huge fire on the touristic island broke out late Tuesday in a mountainous area in the northeast and quickly became the largest in the history of the Canary Islands. So far, the fire, which has a perimeter of 70 kilometers, has razed 8,400 hectares, just over 4% of the total area of Tenerife, and has forced more than 12,000 people to leave their homes. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the south. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel arrived on Sunday in Angola to complete an official visit to the African country. At the 4 de Febrero International Airport, the president was received by the Angolan Minister of Foreign Affairs, Tete Antonio, and the island's ambassador to this African nation, Esther Armenteros. Local media have echoed the visit of the Cuban head of state, which the press has described as a first step in strengthening bilateral cooperation. According to the Angolan press agency, during his stay in Luanda, the president will hold talks with his counterpart João Lourenço and will address the National Assembly and is expected to sign several agreements. Cuba and Angola maintain historical ties of friendship and solidarity. The military chief of Nigerian National Homeland Defense Council, General Abdourahmane Tchiani, warned the Economic Community of West African States of his country's military response capabilities. The junta's leader addressed the country after holding a meeting with Ecowas Commissioner for Political Affairs and Peace, Abdel Fattah Moussa. Although he ratified that the intention is not to seize power and that there will be a transition that will not last more than 3 years, he assured that attacking Niger militarily will not be a walk in the park. In his televised speech, he accused the community organization of serving as a platform to attack his country in collaboration with a foreign army. And several thousand people rallied in Niamey, Niger, in support of the military junta, which announced it is considering a transition of no more than 3 years as the threat of a West African military intervention still looms over Niger. Niger's new military ruler said on Saturday that transition of power would not be beyond 3 years and warned that any attack of the country would not be easy for those involved. Tchiani's warning comes after an Ecowas delegation arrived in the country for a final diplomatic push before deciding where to take military action against the country's new rulers. In his 12-minute speech, Tchiani denounced what he called the illegal and inhuman sanctions imposed by Ecowas against Niger. He also announced 30 days of national dialogue to draw up concrete proposals to lay the foundations of a new constitutional life. On Saturday, a team from the European Union that is observing the upcoming elections in Zimbabwe denied a report published by a state-run newspaper accusing them of being involved in a bribery scandal. Voters in the South African country, ruled since independence in 1980 by the ruling ZANU-PF party, will vote on August 23rd to elect a president, legislators, and local government councillors. Citing anonymous sources, the Herald newspaper reported on Friday that an EU media team had met with 18 journalists and handed out whiskey and shopping vouchers to influence the journalists to make outlandish claims intended to tarnish the entire electoral process. The EU election observation mission stated that these accusations were based on fabricated rumors. It also described previous attempts to discredit its mission and concluded that such stories were blatant misinformation of the Zimbabwean population. Dozens of mass graves have been discovered in Darfur, Western Sudan. Humanitarian organizations claim they contain more than 1,000 corpses. The announcement was made by Marceline Rija, Regional Emergency Director of the International Rescue Committee. He affirms that this is one of the bloodiest episodes of violence in the history of the region. Darfur has been for decades the scene of heavy ethnic clashes, now aggravated by the conflict that broke out in April between the army and paramilitary groups. Last July, the same organization and other agencies allied with the United Nations confirmed the discovery of 87 corpses in the same area. We have come to the end of this news briefing. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.